यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय किशोर किशोरी जय किशोर किशोरी जय किशोर किशोरी जय किशोर किशोरी जय जगन्नाथ जगन्नाथ बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा जय गौरानिताई 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 जय गौरानिताई जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंसा परिवाजकाचार्य श्रुतशत श्री श्रीमद इज डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांता स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद भागवतम की जय। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू गुरु एंड गौरंगा। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashte Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Hare Krishna. So we are continuing our discussion on Canto 10, Chapter 1. Text number will be actually 68 and 69. So it's okay. It's all right. 67 here means 68. Atmanam iha sanjatam. Atmanam iha sanjatam. Janan pragvishnunahatam. Mahasuram kalanemim. Yadubi savriyudratha. Atmanam iha sanjatam. Janam pragvishnunahatam. Mahasuram kalanemim. Yadhubhi savayarudhyata. Atmanam iha sanjatam. Janam pragvishnunahatam. Mahasura kalanimima. Yadhubhi savayarudhyata. Atmanam iha sanjatam. Janam pragvishnunahatam. Mahasuram kalanemim. Yadhubhi savyarudhyata. Atmanam iha sanjatam. Janan pragvishnunahatam. Mahasuram kalanemim. Yadhubhi savyarudhyata. Atmanam iha sanjatam. Janan pragvishnunahatam. Mahasuram kalanemim. Yadhubhi savayarudhyata. Atmanam iha sanjatam. Janan pragvishnunahatam. Mahasuram kalanemim. Visavyarudhyata. Atmanam, personally, iha, in this world, sanjatam, born again, janan, understanding well, prag, previously, before this birth, Vishnuna, by Lord Vishnu, Khatam, was killed, Maha-asuram, a great demon, Kalanemim, by the name Kalanemi, Yadubhi, with the members of the Yadu dynasty, Sah, he, Kamsa, Vyarudhyata, acted inimically. Translations and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. In his previous birth, Kansa had been a great demon named Kalanemi and been killed by Vishnu. Upon learning this information from Narada, Kansa became envious of everyone connected with the Yadu dynasty. Purport: persons who are demons, enemies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are called Asuras. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Asuras, because of their enmity towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, take birth after birth in Asura families, and therefore glide down to the darkest hellish regions. Text number 69, I'll read the translation. Kansa, the most powerful son of Ugrasena, even imprisoned his own father, the king of the Yadu, Bhoja, and Andhaka dynasties, and personally ruled the states known as Surasena. Is one of the shortest purport I have seen. The state known as Mathura was also included within the states known as Surasena. Om Agyantimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vanshakalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Bhaya Vacha Patita Nam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we are continuing our discussion about, this is the end of that chapter, so we'll be moving to a new topic from tomorrow. But so far we have been discussing about the marriage of Devaki, sister of Kansa, to Vasudeva. And then how the voice from the sky created a total upheaval in the life of Kansa. He heard that eighth child of Devaki will be the cause of his death. So he was very perturbed after hearing this, and he immediately wanted to kill Devaki, from whose womb the child was to be born. And Devaki's husband, Vasudeva, he used all the skills he had, his intelligence, his political skills, diplomacy, everything at his disposal, he used to save the life of his wife. And eventually, they ended up having an agreement that as soon as Devaki would have a child, Vasudeva will bring that child to Kansa. And he kept his word. So as the first child was born, Vasudeva brought him to Kansa, and Kansa was kind of impressed that he is bringing his own just newly born child to him to be killed. So he took little pity, or you can say he was a little bit compassionate, and he really didn't want to kill the baby. So Narad Rishi appeared at that time, and he disclosed the plans of demigods to annihilate the demons from the face of this earth. And he kind of told a little bit about their plans. So after hearing those plans, Kansa was obviously very much in anxiety, and he afterwards then killed all the children born from womb of Devaki. Now, part of the conversation Narad had with Kansa, he disclosed about Kansa's past. We don't know our own past, and Kansa also didn't know, but Narad knew that, and he disclosed that to Kansa. And not only he disclosed to him about his past, he also disclosed to him who was his killer in that life. And it was no one other than Vishnu. So this made Kansa more envious of everyone who is going to be born or who was in those dynasties. So we have discussed earlier in the past about the 6 sons of Devaki who were born in the prison of Kansa. They were originally sons of Brahma's son, Maricha, and they were cursed to take birth as in the family of demons, and they were born as in the family of Kalanemi. Now, Kalanemi himself was the son of Hiranyakashipu. So we talk so much about Prahlad Maharaj. Here is a brother of Prahlad Maharaj, and we are discussing a little bit about him. So we can see how in one family we can have 2 diagonally opposite personalities. So Kalanemi was a very powerful demon, and he was so powerful that ordinary demigods, they were not able to kill him, and eventually they seek help from Lord Vishnu, and Vishnu killed him. The sons of Kalanemi, those 6 sons, they prayed to Brahma because they didn't want to remain as demons. So they prayed to Lord Brahma for benedictions. And when Hiranyakashipu, their grandfather, got to hear about this, he cursed them. And he cursed them that you will be born as children of Devaki, and then your own father, Kalanemi, who will be in that life, will be Kansa, he will be killing you. So that was the curse he gave them, and this is how this particular pastime unfolded. So now Srila Prabhupada, this is the pastime we have heard. I'm sure in this 69 verses which we have done, I'm sure this pastime we must have all heard several times. In purport, Srila Prabhupada says that persons who are demons, enemies of Supreme Personality of Godhead, are called asuras. And then he quotes Bhagavad Gita to define the characteristics of asuras and what is their destination. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So Srila Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita, in the same chapter, chapter number 16, that there are 2 classes of human beings. And what are those 2 qualities? Can answer? Yeah. So we have suras and asuras. So we have people with divine qualities, and we have personalities with demoniac qualities. And then Srila Prabhupada highlights the main difference between these two categories of persons. And the divines, they follow a regulated life. They abide by the injunctions in scriptures and by the authorities. On the contrary, demonic people, they do not follow any regulatory principles, and they act very, very whimsically. So this is the main, you can say, difference between the two categories of these two classes. And Srila Prabhupada says that if we have to summarize in one sentence what is the difference between demons and divines, then it says that obedience to the regulatory principles of scriptures, that would differentiate a person from being a devotee or a divine person or a demon. And when I was reading this and I was making my notes, I was very much, I had a kind of realization that it is not just how we appear, or our appearance cannot really classify us as a demon or a person with divine qualities. What we wear, our clothes, our attire, that is just very, very illusory. So in other words, even a person who is wearing very nice kurta and have a tilak could also be a demon, because as we will hear more, I'm going to discuss this little bit in detail about the qualities of demons. Any one of us could have those demon-like characteristics. So it is the mental state, it is our mental consciousness with which we are thinking, the propensities which we have, that is going to eventually define where we are. Like we hear so much about the four sections of society: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. And we hear one after the other, our acharyas have spoken that it is not the family in which you are born will define who you are, but your karmas, the activities in which you engage, that is going to be the deciding factor. So same way, when we are discussing here about demons, we will realize it's a fact that the way we think is really going to be the main factor in this classification. So both the demigods and demons, they are born from the same parentage. They are the children of Prajapatis who were given the task by Lord Brahma to populate the planet. The only difference, like we discussed earlier, is one obeys the Vedic injunctions and the other does not. And we will find that all these demons, as a matter of fact, if we look at some of the great, so-called great demons, they have something in common. So if we look at some of the great demons we know, like Hiranyakashipu, Raman, Kansa, they all were very, very materialistically, they were very, very successful. They were very, very powerful. They had a lot of wealth, and their program was only to enjoy. They were very, very lusty, and they were all anti-Vishnu. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says that not only that they are against Lord Vishnu, they are envious towards Lord Vishnu, but they also are envious towards those who worship Lord Vishnu. So in other words, anybody who is a devotee of Lord Vishnu is also an enemy for these asuras. So now what Srila Prabhupada says here in the purport, that they take birth after birth in Asura families and therefore glide down to the darkest hellish regions. So I noted down some of his quotes and also what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita about the demons. So this is chapter 16. I am going to talk a little bit from text number 18, 19, 20, 20 to 23. So Krishna says in text number 18, in his discussion with Arjuna, bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others, and blaspheme against the real religion. And then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, a demoniac person, being always against God's supremacy, does not like to believe in the scriptures. He is envious of both the scriptures and the existence of Supreme Personality of Godhead. He further says that being envious of the scriptures and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he puts forward false arguments against the existence of God and denies the scriptural authority. So we see this very common. In Kali Yuga, we come across such people just, day in and day out. You just have to meet somebody and, you want to discuss, you want to talk about spirituality, and you will hear a lot of arguments coming, which will, which goes parallel to what the demons think. Demon even thought at that time, and they will be thinking now. Then in text number 19, Krishna says, and this is worth making a note, that those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. So, and then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that as for the demoniac, it is clearly said here that they are perpetually put into the wombs of demons, and thus they continue to be envious, the lowest of mankind. Such demoniac species of men are held to be always full of lust, always violent and hateful, and always unclean. So, why I am reading is so that at least from my perspective, I am discussing this, that I could see what all these characteristics exist in me. If I don't even know that these are the characteristics or the shortcomings which I have, I can never even try to get rid of them. So I'm normally it is very common, and this is again a very you can say one of the most prominent demonic characteristic is to find shortcomings of others, find the weaknesses of others, find the defects in others. But and actually, when we are doing that, that itself is a demonic characteristic. If one of us is finding faults with others, that's a demonic characteristic. So when I was reading this, this was one of the most, you can say, the striking point for me. Then in the next verse, Krishna says that attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demonic life, O son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. So because of these characteristics, because of their envy towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such entities, they commit more and more anarthas. They commit more and more sinful activities. And as a result, instead of making progress in life, they go down further. So the basic purpose of human life is forgotten. On the contrary, we are just doing the opposite, or the people with demonic characteristics, they are just doing the opposite and going down. In text number 22, there is Krishna explains how one can get out of it. Now we see that when we are reading this, we just saw that there is no hope for people with these qualities, with demonic qualities. So that means they are never going to get the mercy of the Lord and come out of their life of the life cycle of demons. But it explains further. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that one should be very careful of these three enemies to human life: lust, anger, and greed. These are so commonly visible in all of us. The more a person is freed from lust, anger, and greed, the more his existence becomes pure. Then he can follow the rules and regulations enjoined in the Vedic literature. By following the regulative principles of human life, one gradually raises himself to the platform of spiritual realization. So this is also in confirmation of what we discussed earlier when we were discussing the basic difference between demigods and demons, that one follows the regulated life and the other one does not. This goes in confirmation with that. And then in the next verse, Krishna is mentioning to Arjun that he who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So this is really very, very relevant and pertinent in today's world. I mean, we find, and ourselves also, that we say, oh, we are not happy. Most of the people we come across, they are not happy. There is so much of anxiety. There are so many difficulties, problems, all kind of things. And if we ask ourselves, or if we ask them that what is the cause of their unhappiness or anxiety, they have a big list, and they will, criticize the politicians. They will criticize everybody around them. They will criticize their bosses. They will criticize their spouses, children. They have so much. They are so much full of envy that they will be ready to criticize each and every living entity whom they come in contact with. But the main cause which they forget, or we forget, is that we are working, we are conducting ourselves very, very whimsically. We have forgotten our scriptures, and because we are working whimsically, we are not, Krishna says, this is what Krishna is saying, so it is not something which has been manufactured. It is that until and unless we follow the instructions given by scriptures, given by our acharyas, we can never be happy. So if we just look at the opposite of that, by following our acharyas' instructions, following the injunctions in the Shastras, we could, like Srila Prabhupada says, that by following the regulative principles of human life, one gradually raises himself to the platform of spiritual realization. And only in that case, we can think to be happy. For us, I say this quite often because this is so very simple and so very important and so easy to practice, that Srila Prabhupada has given us these 4 regulative principles, and if we follow them sincerely, we are at least on the right path. See, if we want to go to a particular destination, we chart a route. Now, of course, we have GPS, but even with GPS or without GPS, if we had to go say, if I had to go from here to Urbana-Champaign, the first thing which I will do before I start is to know what route I'm going to take. And if I follow the right path, follow the right route, I will eventually reach there. But if I make a mistake, if I do not really, if I'm not on the right path, right route, right road, then it is also almost certain that I will, instead of reaching Urbana-Champaign, I'll be reaching somewhere else. So same is with our spiritual life. We know our goal. If we follow the instructions of our acharyas, our spiritual master, we follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, we will be sooner or later reach our destination. So I'll stop here, and because these are the last verses of this particular chapter, you may also have, something to share with others about what from this particular section was important, or what impressed you from this particular section of Srimad Bhagavatam. So let's open for discussion. Yes.
Thank you, Raman, for the class. I remember one of Nityananda Pran classes in which he makes the difference between person with divine qualities and a person with demoniac qualities. That particular for me, demoniac is a little strong for a normal mammal like we are, normal person. No, it's kind of hard. And he did something that struck me, that he says, or it stuck to me, that the difference between these two beings are that one follows all the scriptures and the other one doesn't. As simple as that.
Yeah.
It's white and black, period.
Yeah. The appearance is not so important. And why I'm talking about this appearance, that when I grew up, we used to read books, comics and books, stories and things like that. And all of them had some pictures, because we are kids, so they will show pictures. And in all those stories, or most of those stories, we would read about the demigods, Lord Vishnu, and the demons. And in the pictures, the demons are shown with a particular, they have a particular appearance. So, and none of the people I see, they look like that. So I would think that there's no demon around me, and I'm also not a demon. But when I read this, it is not just how one appears. It is just what's going on here that makes a difference. So that is why it makes me think about myself, and also people we are coming in contact with, that we have to be extremely aware of this fact that I refrain from those tendencies which will take me more in that direction. It's very easy. It's very, very subtle. It will happen without even our knowing, because those qualities, especially being envious and critical of others, is so natural. It comes. It's there. You don't have to think, oh, I have to criticize this person. Automatically, it is natural thing. So, but to control it is not natural. So that there I have to make a very, very conscious effort that rather than finding faults in others, I should look at their positive points. And if I have to, satisfy my fault-finding propensity, that I should do by finding faults in myself. Yes, Prabhu.
my thought process is going towards like, how do we express this or talk about this in normal terms in this culture? Like saying even the word demon or demoniac is really not a part of normal culture terms, and the people, if we speak about it in these terms with normal people, they'll be like, these people are fanatical, totally fanatical people. Everyone's a demon, every single person. So I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on how we can talk about it in understandable terms with the average person, how these qualities come about.
So one comment is that we don't realize that we are around demons because all those things look very common to us, look very natural to us. And we also have those qualities, so we are very happy, so that's one thing. The second, to answer your question, we are very fortunate that we at least have realized that there are two classes of human beings. So we could either be under this category or we could be under that category. So by our own conduct, we can impress others. I was hearing the class by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu on Tuesday, and he also made a reference to this, that by our own conduct, we can impress others. If we tell them, verbally, or if we try to give them, if we try to preach them, it is not going to really impress them because of the firewall which exists. We are not so receptive to anybody, quoting scriptures to us, trying to tell certain things, tell me my shortcomings and so on. But if I conduct myself in a devotee-like manner, then that will be more effective than discussing these things. Especially like you said, we don't know. I mean, people are so full of these qualities, like Srila Prabhupada says that envy, anger, greed is so much there. Now, how can we make an impact on such people? It is not very easy. It has to be a very, very, very subtle and gradual process. And again, by leading by example or conducting ourselves in a ideal way, as prescribed in our scriptures, we can have some effect or impression on those entities. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for your class. You were mentioning Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's class on Tuesdays. I was kind of thinking about that class too, because in that class he was mentioning one verse from the Bhagavatam, 329:8, that devotional service could also be practiced in envy and pride, etc. And in Prabhupada's commentary, he says one should abandon association of such a devotee. And also in Prabhu's class yesterday, he was mentioning the three modes and how to maintain our spiritual enthusiasm, which I appreciated because that's one of my favorite pastimes in Krishna Book, chapter 89, where Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Bhrigu Muni test all three of them. And basically it's described that creating relationships, easy. Destroying relationships, even easier. Maintaining relationships, that's hard. Or creating spiritual enthusiasm, easy. Destroying spiritual enthusiasm, even easier. Maintaining spiritual, that's hard. And Vishnu is the maintainer who represents goodness. So we often hear that in order to maintain our enthusiasm, we should accept favorable association and reject unfavorable association. Asat Sangha Tiyaga E Vaishnava Achar. Sri Sangi Eka Asadu Krishna Bhakta Ar. But we hear from Prahlad Maharaj that the greatest Asat Sangha is the uncontrolled mind. In Bhagavatam 7:8-9, Prahlad says, except for the uncontrolled and misguided mind, there is no enemy within this world. And also Sri Rupa Goswami mentions anartha nabriti, that real discrimination or elimination means to eliminate the bad qualities from our heart to assimilate the good qualities for our heart. Yisyasti bhattir bhagavati akinchana sarva gunais tatra samaste suraha. So my question is related to what Advaita Chaitanya Charan Prabhu mentioned yesterday, that some devotee association makes us inspired, and some devotee association makes us perspire. But there's kind of like a discrepancy with this, because I'll quote a couple of pastimes. In the Mohini Murti pastime, the demons, when they associated with Mohini, they said, oh, this association is so inspiring. Why? Because their senses were aroused, and usually we pick up our association, choose our association according to those who arouse our senses, or who arouse our false ego. That's where nationalism comes in, racism comes in. And instead of decreasing our bad qualities, we increase them. And also, on the other hand, the Ramananda Roy pastime, where Lord Chaitanya told Pradyumna Mishra to take instructions from Ramananda Roy, but he appeared to be an impure devotee. And Lord Chaitanya says that this person, although they may appear to increase your anarthas, he's actually the proper person to decrease your anarthas, because he has the proper blood type. I'm a doctor, you can't see the blood type, but I can. So what are some steps we could do to give up, or to distinguish what association arouses our false ego, and not considering the inspiration on what association we actually properly need to decrease our anarthas?
So while you were speaking, Prabhu, I felt like we are so much concerned, and we think so much about how to improve or how to make people around us a better devotee. But most of the time, we forget how I should make myself a better devotee. I know what I can tell you 50 shortcomings in you. At drop of a hat, you just have to say, okay, Prabhu, please tell me what are my shortcomings. And it won't even take me 1 minute to come out with a big list. But have I ever thought about myself, that what are the shortcomings in me? And as I read Bhagavad Gita more and more, as I read Srimad Bhagavatam and attend classes, it appears to me that one living entity on which I have to work more is myself. I cannot change others. It is just not possible. That kind of a work is left to big, great personalities like Srila Prabhupada or Acharya, our learned Acharyas. I do not have those qualities, but at least I can make their work a little bit easier if I try to make some improvement in my own conduct, in my own behavior, in my own consciousness. And if, say, in it, we are like 7 or 8 of us here, sometimes we are more. And if each one of us makes this our, prime object of life, that I have to improve myself, just improve myself. I don't care how others around me are conducting. Automatically, I'm making, some improvement. Just I have to improve, just have to work on that. Keshav Prabhu wants to add something.
Do you mind if my question is essentially, and I would agree with that because we can't change others, but if we're in a Bhagavatam class and we want to know how do we distinguish between association that increases our anarthas and association that decreases our anarthas, then how can one, for their own benefit, distinguish that?
Okay, let him say, then we'll come to that. Yeah, Keshav. You are on the same point, correct?
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes by St. Francis of Assisi, my favorite Catholic saint, is, go preach.
Say it.
St. Francis said, preach the gospel always, and when necessary, use words. So I guess that was just your comment, right? So,
Meaning that your actions are more eloquent than your own words. Always up with our example is the best way. We don't have oftentimes to say what we follow, but with our own lifestyle and our own example.
Yes, that is true. Like I say that our own conduct is very, very important. If we, especially those who are in position of authority or power, for them it is even more important, because other people, they look towards them. So if somebody is sitting here and talking, he or she has to also make sure that they are not just talking. They do a little bit more than that. Also, I was reminded about, the election times in India. And now, it used to happen during election times, but now I find that it happens on a daily basis. On a regular basis, this is the style, how our political parties, our leaders, they are conducting themselves. And so earlier, the leaders of political parties, they will talk about, they will highlight their achievements, what good they have done for the nation, what good they have done for the society. And that's the way they used to ask people to vote for them. That we have done so much for education, we have done so much for health, we have done so much for housing, and so on. So they will really try to highlight the good things they have done. But now, and I'm just talking of last 30, 40 years, the scene has completely changed. Now nobody talks about what good they have done. They only talk about what bad you have done. So now people are not used to, finding something good in themselves or in others. They are only now accustomed, they are so much conditioned to find only faults in others. So that has become our natural way of living. And until and unless we change that, we reverse it, we are really not going to be happy at all, because I am using all my intelligence, whatever little bit I have, I am using all my energy to find faults in others. So until and unless I curb that propensity, I'm not going to make any progress. So having said that, I would like to hear your question one more time, and then we can discuss it, since we have a couple of more minutes. Can you just, the question which you were raising?
yeah, if we go to a doctor for one's benefit, you ask the doctor, I have some disease. I'm not finding fault with others, I'm finding fault with myself. I have this disease. And the disease is that usually, I like to associate with people who arouse my senses or arouse my false ego. And sometimes I don't know what association is good. Sometimes I think it's better association, like Raman and Roy. It appeared to be bad, but it was actually good. So for my own benefit, how do I distinguish what is truly inspiring or what truly increases my narcissism? You get the question. So how do I do that for my own faults, to decrease my own faults, not worrying about others? I'm going to a doctor, so can you give a prescription, recommendation?
Yeah. So one of the regulatory principles which we are supposed to practice is no illicit sex. Now, we look at it more from the gross point, and that's what we think about and we try to control. But as we go deeper, as our realizations increase, as we make progress, then we realize that it need not only be that, it could be even more than that. So once I was reading one of the books, and even if I want to be the center of attraction in a particular discussion or a gathering, I want to attract attention, that is also goes in that direction. So it is quite common for me or for any one of us that I would like to associate with people who would praise me. Now I have to ask myself that is it true praise or is he just saying to please me? Because I want to hear that, that's why he's saying it. I give you a very simple example, and that is very common among Matajis, so please forgive me. A Mataji buys a new sari. A Mataji buys a new sari, and next day on Sunday feast, she wears it and she is showing it to everybody. And some Matajis are very, you can say, they make a note immediately, and they'll say, oh, you have a new sari, it's looking very nice. So, and that makes me very happy. But then there are others who are not so observant. So to them I will go and say, how is my sari? So it could be to men also, that I buy a new kurta and I just come to you and say, Prabhu, you didn't say anything about my kurta. So we want to hear, our own praises, and we make arrangement to get that. Another thing which I sometimes experience is about prasadam. So you are visiting somebody and they make something for you, and they work very hard and they really make very delicious prasadam. And but suppose you make a mistake of not appreciating it, then they will ask, oh, it looks like the prasadam was not tasty. So then you say, no, why do you say that? It is very tasty, I liked it. Those say, no, because you did not say anything about it. So if you don't hear anything, any of your, so-called appreciation or praise, we feel very restless. Why this person is not saying something good about me? And that's what we are looking for. So the people around us, they also know it, that everybody has this propensity to hear their own, appreciation. And we look for such association. If somebody is criticizing us, we would like to maintain a distance from them. And the important thing because it is about us, it is about me, the important thing in that case is that if somebody is saying this, does he really mean it, or is it the truth? I can share with you some particular situation I experienced once myself. It was a festival time, most likely Janmashtami, because on Janmashtami, most of the pujaris, they end up sitting in the pujari room till midnight, because we have services and we have midnight services, so we have to keep ourselves clean, and so we were just sitting there. And one pujari, one devotee came to me and says, oh Prabhu, we don't see each other very often because of our services are not really, at the same time. So he came to me and says, oh Prabhu, you are such a great devotee. So I said, thank you. And I felt very happy, obviously, like you said. Then, like I said, we were spending extended time there. So we came across each other after 2 or 3 hours again. And again, he said, maybe he's saying to everybody like that. So he said to me again that, oh Prabhu, you are such a great devotee. So I said, Prabhu, don't say it 3rd time, because then I will start believing it. So this is how it happens, Prabhu, in real life. If we hear such appreciations, we know what it is worth. And accordingly, we can say, okay, thank you so much. It is like we hear that story of the poet praising the king, and the king also promising a lot of treasure and riches and donations. So it is like that. So what I'm trying to say is that even if somebody is criticizing us, it has to be not always taken in a negative way. It should be maybe that will help us more than our appreciation. And also if it is false, first of all, among the Vaishnava etiquettes, one of which is also pointed out in Nectar of Devotion, that appreciating somebody, a false appreciation is not a Vaishnava quality. I would rather, if I don't like your kurta, I would rather stay quiet than saying, oh, it's a very nice kurta. On the other hand, we shouldn't be, extremely or unnecessarily critical of others. But however, based on my relationship with you, I could sometimes point certain things, I can bring certain things to your attention in that respect. It is not necessarily like fault finding. It is saying that, Prabhu, this is what I observed, and this is how I feel about it. So then it gives you a chance to study whether what I said, whether it is, it could be that it was maybe one time incident or something like that, or it could be something which is there in your personality, which you will feel that, oh, yes, what he says is absolutely right. This is something which I need to fix in my personality. So it depends more on the relationship when it comes to saying, especially so-called criticism is there. But if criticism is done with the aim of helping other person to improve, it should be encouraged. And that means if you come to me and tell me something about, some shortcoming of mine, I should try to give it a serious thought and try to improve it. However, I may like to give you an explanation also. There is a, I'm sorry, I'm taking a lot of time, but there is a process in management we call feedback. We hear this word feedback very commonly, that I would like to have your feedback. Now, one of the requirements of accepting feedback, to give feedback and to accept feedback, is an art. It is not like so easy or common the way we hear that, okay, give me feedback. Are you ready to receive feedback? Just one thing. Because when you are asking me to give feedback, you may hear certain things which may not be very pleasing. But one of the requirements of feedback is, accepting feedback is, that you are not going to give any explanation while the feedback is being given. So I accept whatever you say. I hear whatever you say, and then I process it. Rather than you say, oh, Prabhu, when you started, your presentation, you made this mistake. And then I immediately stop you there and say, no, it is not true. This is what I did. This is what I said. This is what was written in the book. This is what, our acharyas have said. I immediately did not give you a chance to come up with what you wanted to say. So giving feedback is an art, and receiving feedback is even more important art, bigger art. Okay. Yes, Prabhu. Mm-hmm. No. I say, Prabhu, yes. See, it is, it's a little, again, it's a little delicate situation, because it depends on how receptive your superior is. Now, in earlier time, people had ministers. The kings used to have ministers. And the ministers would say, what they say, call a spade, correct? So they will tell the truth. If they find that their king is doing something which is against the injunctions of the scriptures, they will tell the king, the priest, they'll inform that the king that what he is doing is not as per the injunctions of our shastras. But over a period of time, or in Kali Yuga, the superiors do not have that kind of a mentality. If you say something to them which is not favorable, not all of them will take it very, very, it won't be very, very conducive. It will not be taken in the right spirit. So, but from your perspective, yes, you can say, but it doesn't have to be said in an offensive manner. It could be said in a tactful way, so that you explain it, so that your point is noted. Yeah. It always existed. This, if you are especially a person with demonic qualities, and like I said, all of us have those qualities. If I am told my shortcomings, I'm not going to, I say, okay, next time, Hare Krishna Prabhu. I don't want to talk to you. I will only go to the person who says, oh, your class was so wonderful, your kurta was so nice. And so this is unfortunately the fact. And this is what makes a devotee different from a demon. If somebody informs me of some of my shortcomings, I should be grateful to that person, because that person is giving me an opportunity to improve myself. I should look at it that way. Okay, thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.